Good afternoon, everyone. Family, welcome back to another episode of the Gero-Juice Podcast with your host, Adrienne D. Jones. Today, I'm super excited because we're bringing you the tea about long-term care. And it's not just a general conversation. We're talking with Deke Cateau, the CEO of one of the oldest, if not the oldest, long-term care communities in Atlanta, AG Rhodes, y'all. AG Rhodes has been phenomenal in staying engaged in the community for the betterment and advancement of their residents. And, I'm in love with AG Rhodes. I'm in love with their social media posts and everything. I'm not going to hold y'all because I want y'all to get into this. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about my guest. Deke Cateau is the CEO at AG Rhodes, a nonprofit organization providing therapy and rehabilitation services, short-term recovery, and long-term care at 3 Metro Atlanta locations with over 400 residents. Deke is responsible for an operating budget of approximately $55 million and leading a staff of approximately 600 employees, y'all. He is phenomenal. In 2021, Deke published his first book, Brush Fire, COVID-19 in Our Nursing Homes, which quickly became an Amazon bestseller. Now, in addition to being a licensed nursing home administrator, Deke is a certified dementia care practitioner, trainer, and educator. Y'all, it's so much stuff. I got to skip around, but it's so much stuff, so much great stuff. In 2023, Deke was appointed by Governor Brian Kemp to serve on the Georgia Alzheimer's and Related Dementias State Plan Advisory Council. And recently, Deke was appointed by the HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra to the National Advisory Council on Alzheimer's Research, Care, and Services. He was named in Atlanta's magazine's 2025 500 of the city's most powerful leaders. And in 2024, Deke was recognized as a McKnight's Pinnacle Award agent of change. Oh my goodness, you are doing so many great things. In 2023, Deke was the recipient of the Distinguished Service Award from the Gerontology Institute at Georgia State University. Y'all have to applaud my guest today. Welcome to the Gero-Juice Podcast.
Thank you so much. I am so very happy to be here, Adrian. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. But and as you can tell, I'm very busy. But at heart, I just consider myself a very fortunate person to be in the position I'm in, to work with elders every day, and really want to continue doing that, and in my own little way, make a change in this sector, in this industry.
Wonderful. And, I read your bio. Like I said, I'm so wowed and so honored just to be in your presence. I know you are a busy man and it's never going to stop. Looking at everything you have accomplished and are going to accomplish, I know that you have a long, successful road ahead of you. But I want you to tell our listeners, how did you get involved in the long-term care business?
Yeah. So the easy answer is two words. My wife is how I got involved. It's a interesting story. I actually was working in the financial services sector, and unhappily so. I had was a recent immigrant, and like most people, wanting to live the American dream. And I thought that, okay, the easiest way to do that was to get involved, learn how to buy and sell stocks and bonds. I thought that would be happiness. It turned out it was not. And an uncanny meeting one afternoon, picking my wife up from the nursing home that she worked in. Was picking her up one afternoon, and she'd always told me, "Hey, you would love working in a nursing home." She thinks I have the personality for it. So I'm picking her up this afternoon, and she was hanging out outside of the job with her co-workers, the other department heads. She was the dietitian at that nursing home in Marietta, Georgia, called Autumn Breeze Healthcare. And so I got out the car and started chatting with them. And I left that day with a job offer to come work in their business office. And I took it and have never looked back ever since. So I credit her 100% for getting me into this industry. She's since gotten out of it, but
Okay.
I'm still in there, but still call her every now and again for advice as well.
Right. Good advice. I know she's
Yeah,
giving you wonderful
yeah.
advice. That's a phenomenal story. Now, like I told you before when I was giving the intro, I've always been in love with AG Rhodes. And I had to go all the way back to when I first had graduated Clark Atlanta, right?
Hmm.
We are recent graduates. We thought we were doing our thing. We had, rented this nice new construction over there. Actually, it was over there around the corner from your East Atlanta, the Moreland, what is it, Memorial
Yeah,
location.
yeah. Westwood.
And
Yeah.
I did not have a car then.
Hmm.
And so, do you know, I had to walk past that location every day to get to the
Wow.
bus stop on Memorial, not thinking like 20 something years later, here we are.
Oh,
But so that's my little
yeah,
connection.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Walk by those tall walls.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. Totally,
yes,
totally,
yes.
totally. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but I've always been in love with AG Rose. But I
yeah,
want you to tell me
yeah,
what, from your perspective, and I
yeah,
know you're biased because you're in there,
yeah.
you're doing the work, but I want you to tell me what makes AG Rose so special.
Yeah. It's the history and the culture of it. I mean, like you said, we're a 120-year-old organization, which certainly is not common, right,
Hmm.
for this business. But it's also been always been run with sort of a familial approach. So our board chair now is the great great grandson of Amos Giles Rhodes, A.G. Rhodes, our namesake. So it's
Hmm.
kind of run with that family feel to it, and there's a strong sense of culture because of that. And that culture is exhibited not only in how we take care of our residents, but it's how we take care of our staff.
Hmm.
So we really are a comrade in this. And I think that just that culture year after year after year and generation after generation is what makes AG Roads a lot different. So because of that, you have longevity. We have people that have
Yeah.
worked with us for 50 years.
Yeah.
Our oldest tenured employee now is at, I think, 48 years service with us. A CNA, still
Hmm.
as a CNA. So
Right.
those aren't common stories that you have, and I would say it's that culture. I get a lot of credit now, wrongly so, for the culture, and I stop
Right.
people immediately. I say I met that culture in place. If you
Right.
give me any credit, give me for sustaining, helping to sustain the culture. But your organization's always had that very strong culture. The other thing that I think differentiates us as a
Hmm.
nonprofit organization
Hmm.
is you come to any one of our homes, and you have already, and you would be amazed by how we care for our residents, regardless of their pay source, right? Regardless of their
Right.
ability to pay. So you will see, you would not know in our homes who's on Medicaid, who's paying privately, who's on
Hmm.
Medicare, who's on private insurance.
Hmm.
We each one of our residents we think is unique. However, the way we personalize the care for them across the board, it should look, similarly, and not look a different way based
Right.
on who's paying you more and who's not.
Right. And I love that. And that makes, understand that makes such a difference,
Yeah,
what you just said when you come into a nursing home and sometimes
yeah,
you can tell with I guess I'll say it like this, like
yeah,
the financial disparities and differences
yes,
are.
yeah,
So I love exactly what you just
yeah,
said. Now, we recently opened, AG Rhodes recently opened a memory care community.
yeah,
And in reading your bio and letting our audience know, you already have a strong connection,
yeah,
with Alzheimer's dementia education as a
yeah,
trainer, as an advocate.
yeah,
So I want you to tell us what this memory care community
yeah.
means as an addition to the AG Rhodes community.
Yeah. So it's a 72-bed community.
Mm-hmm.
Memory care, yes, but nursing home memory care. And
Okay.
it's built adjacent to our existing community.
Okay.
The amazing thing about it, we talk about healthcare disparities, right? But the amazing thing about it, is as of yesterday, it's completely full, but
Mhm.
about 80% of the people living there are on Medicaid.
Okay.
So when you go there and you see the sort of beautiful, I won't call it opulent, but it is certainly a extremely dignified way of living. All
Mhm.
private rooms, beautiful gardens, and available to people who are on Medicaid, available to
Wow.
folks who are indigent.
Good.
And that's what makes the difference, I think, with us and
Mhm.
anyone else. We are the only one that I know of in the state of Georgia that's kind of undertaking that for this population of
Mhm.
individuals. And we also learned a lot during COVID that went into the design of that. Several years we planned in designing, but we've tried to also
Mhm.
make it able to sort of combat, some of the infection control issues that we had during COVID. So not only the private rooms, like I told you, but we also it's built in households. Each floor has
Mhm.
two households of
Mhm.
12 residents.
Okay.
And should there be an outbreak of any infectious disease, we're able to zip it up. We're able to isolate each household
Okay.
in order to keep our residents safer. So it's it's really the prize in our sort of organization right now. But the good news is we're not stopping at the co-op community. Of course, it was an extremely costly building, about
Right.
$37.5 million. But I can
Wow.
tell you a little secret. We've already started planning the next home,
Oh.
which is the one close to Moreland that you spoke about, our flagship location in Grant Park.
Oh my goodness. Do you see the smile on
Yeah.
my face? So
Mhm.
that means so much, especially, I know AG Roads is there like right in the middle of the city, the flagship location, but
Yeah.
I'm smiling because I think about all of the senior active adult communities that
Yeah.
are in close proximity there. But I'm
Yeah.
also thinking about, you know, how, residents can be at the nursing home, but they don't have to go to a whole nother community, a whole nother property. They can stay
Yeah.
within the AG Roads family. So that means a lot,
Yeah.
especially when you have families that have fallen in love
Yeah.
with the staff
Completely.
and just fall in love with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that generally, Adrian, that's what we're trying to make these into true homes,
Right.
right? Understanding that most people, a nursing home is not the first choice of where they want to go.
Right.
But we do have, thousands of people in our society that have to live in nursing homes.
Right.
And we just believe they need to be made as homely as possible. Our
Right.
Wesley Woods and Atlanta camp location, for example, speaking again about healthcare disparities,
Yeah.
those zip codes have a high confluence of end-stage renal disease. So what
Mm.
we've done at those two communities to try to make it home is we've
Yes.
built dialysis units in those communities. So our elders who need dialysis, who would have spent the better part of their week prior to that on a transportation going outside the community to be dialyzed, can now be dialyzed in their home. So again, we're
Wow.
making this home. We're making this home.
And that's so important. And moving on, I want to talk about partnerships. And I know for myself, when I think of partnerships, I think of partnering with individuals who we have the same mission. We
Mhm.
have the same vision, and it may not be the same, but our visions align with one
Yeah.
another, right? And so I had to ask you, what would be an ideal partnership for AG Roads, or who would be an ideal partner for AG Roads?
So we take partnership extremely seriously.
Okay.
Whether even you're talking about even a vendor, I see that as an opportunity to partner, right? I don't see vendors as vendors. I see them as partners.
Yes.
We believe strongly that as a nonprofit, we are a resource of the community.
Hmm.
So I believe nonprofits should be partnering certainly with others in their community.
Right.
So some of the partnerships we look at, we have a huge partnership with a group called Pebble Tossers. You may have heard of Pebble Tossers, and they provide volunteer youths. And we do a program called Generational Connect, a
Hmm.
intergenerational program with
Yes.
them in each community once a year.
Hmm.
We partner with some of our other nonprofit affiliates. whether it's as simple as working with Wesleywood Senior Living, the partnerships we do with them. Emory, we do lots of work with Emory
Yeah.
healthcare system.
Okay.
In our Cobb location, we partner with Wellstar, and actually they medically staff our communities.
Good.
So we're always looking for partnerships. Georgia State, I know you're
Mm-hmm.
alumni as well.
Yes.
But we just started a wonderful partnership with them called Swagger Students with AG Roads at Georgia State, where
Good.
we actually have a cohort of students in our nursing homes. They're learning about nursing homes. They are working with our staff. They're doing research, which helps them on the other
Yes.
side. And you know it's meaningful. So
Yes.
we do not take partnerships lightly. While I can't describe what the ideal partner would be,
Mm-hmm.
I can say the nonprofit difference is important to us. So we look out for our nonprofit partners, but there are also some for-profit organizations that we do marvelous work with, as long
Okay.
as it fits the mission. So
Right.
we start with our mission. We lead with our mission. There are a lot of opportunities we turn down that make financial sense, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't have sort of mission parity, right? They don't make
Yeah.
mission sense, and we turn them down because it has to fit our mission. Before we go forward in partnership.
Good to know. And just hearing you talk about the swag initiative going on over
Yeah,
there at Georgia State,
yeah,
I have to be honest, I always try to find a way. I always ask Dr. Morgan,
yeah.
the director over there at the Institute, I always ask her, do I need to come back? Because I always feel like I'm missing something.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, I always tell people, we are lifelong learners.
Yes.
And, when I was there, we didn't have the swag.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So I feel like I need to go back to be a part of
yeah,
this
yeah,
in some way, shape, or form.
yeah.
But that's okay. We'll talk about that
We'll
another
welcome
day.
you. Come on back. We'll
Okay.
find another program to do. Get another degree. You have quite a few, but let's get another one. Yeah.
Let's get another one. Always going for it. Okay, I want to, I know we're rounding out, but I want you to tell our audience how can they learn about AG Rose? How can they get involved with AG Rose? Guess what? Even if they are not here in the city of Atlanta, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, we have a tremendous website that's a resource for the community.
Okay.
And on our website, we help you find a nursing home. We help connect you with resources. But on our website, there are a couple tabs that are, I think, really important. Our volunteer. So
Mhm.
www.agroads.org/volunteer. You can learn and come to volunteer with us. We have about 400 volunteers now. I mean, unheard of
Wow.
for a nursing home. Yeah, we have a core
Yeah.
of volunteers. So we encourage you to come and help. We have a horticulture therapy program, a music therapy program, so you could get involved in those kind of activities if you want. Should you choose to donate, I said we're a nonprofit. The way we're able to do this important work with these programs like horticulture and music therapy is through generous help from the public. So agroads.org/donate.
Yes.
Again, if you want to just learn more about elders, about nursing homes, about our community, then www.agroads.org/info, and you have all that info. So it's a tremendous site. Our organization is very unselfish with our knowledge. That's
Mm-hmm.
the other great thing. So there are resources that we give out for free. We don't charge anything for those resources. So if you just want to, again, learn a little bit more, feel free to reach out to us. You certainly will find someone on our website that you could call or email and reach out to. We welcome it, and I think that's how we change the image of this industry. I think it's a sector that's been vilified, sometimes rightfully so. I think we need to
Mm-hmm.
look at ourselves in the mirror and say, can we be doing better as a sector, as a group of nursing homes?
Sure.
And we want your help in order to improve the quality of care and the type of care that we give.
Sure. There's one thing that I heard you say over and over again, www.agroads.org. So
Yes.
so if anybody missed anything and you're like, I don't know, I can't remember, www.agroads.org. Gero-Juice.org is where you can find information on volunteering, on donating, and just being a part of the community or partnering with AG
Yes.
Rose at some point. And so before we close out, we talked about your book, and I have to ask this question before we go anywhere. Is there another book in the horizon?
There is. If you had asked me that a year ago, I would say no.
Okay.
After I wrote Brush Fire, it was, you know, so personally gratifying.
Mhm.
But I didn't see myself doing it again. Right? It took a lot of time to do. I wrote it myself. I didn't use a ghostwriter or anything. And I said, that's it. Check that box off the bucket list. But with a lot of what I'm seeing in the industry and what I hope is going to happen in the next few years, a lot of the changes, I think there will be a part two. Hopefully, the part two would be a lot more optimistic than part one. Right? Brush Fire was about
Mhm.
an extremely difficult time in the
Mhm.
lives of elders, where we had more deaths and more dying and more sickness
Mhm.
than we've ever seen, and that was
Right.
during the pandemic.
Right.
So I hope to have a more optimistic title and a more optimistic book coming soon.
Okay, good to know. And I'm sure you will. I'm sure we
Yes.
will. We're on the uphill. We've
Yes.
overcome COVID, but we're on the uphill now. So
Yes.
again, thank you for this beautiful interview. Thank you for your time. Listen, if you are just now tuning in, you have to go back. You got to go back to the beginning. This is Deke Cateau of AD Rose. He's the CEO, gave some great information. You all need to go to agrose.org, okay, to donate, to volunteer, and just to find out more about who they are. And so, look, the Gero-Juice radio show is still coming on every Thursday at 10 a.m. on the legendary pace setter. That's IGO, WIGO, 1570 a.m. Until next time, y'all, I love y'all and stay safe.